Now that I have the crisis data in the query editor, I'm going to make some changes to the columns that'll make creating the reports a little bit more easy. Now, once I go into the report mode, when I'm trying to create the report, I can still have some options to manipulate columns, but I find that they are easier to manipulate in this query editor. Okay, now it took me some time to figure out exactly what I wanted after I had played around in the report. So sometimes you might not have the foresight to know exactly what you're going to need to pull from your columns. But I'll tell you what I've learned from working in Power BI is that I often want to do a lot of work on the dates. So one thing I'm going to go ahead and do on the occurred date is I'm going to isolate the data to just 2015 and beyond, because you see I don't have very many observations in 2013 and 2014. And I don't really want to work with that data. So I'm going to go ahead and do a filter. So I'm going to do a date filter that I only want data that's after the end of 2014. So let's see here. I'm going to go to, I'm going to say I want it after December 31st, 2014. All right. Another area that I'm going to work on is getting some really specific pieces off of the occurred date and time. I'm focusing more on the occurred time in this data set as opposed to the reported time, because I'm interested in seeing when incidents actually occurred, and the reported time could be, you know, days after or hours after. So I'm going to really focus on the occurred date and time for these pieces. So on the occurred date, what I'm going to do is I want to add an additional column, and I want to just see what day of the week these incidents occurred on. So I'm going to go to add column up here at the left. And now with this column selected, I can choose date, and there's a lot of nice options here. So I can say I want the day, and I want the day of the week that this incident occurred. So day of the week. And you'll see it gives me a numerical day of the week, which is fine. And I learned this the hard way, so you'll benefit from my learning experience, that some of the functionality that I'm going to want to use once I get into creating the report is I'm really going to need both the numerical day of the week and also the name of the day of the week. So let me come back over here to the occurred date. Okay, and so I'm going to come here again, and this time I'm going to tell it I also want the name of the day, because when I create my report or a visual, I really wanted to display the name of the day of the week. But what I found is if I want to have it sorted in a meaningful order, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I have to sort by the numerical day of the week. So I learned the hard way that I need to have both if I'm going to do some visualizations with that. Okay, now I also did a little bit of analysis on when the incident occurred in terms of the hour of the day. Now you'll notice here under the occurred time that the date that corresponds with it seems to be a little faulty. So the occurred date is what we want to use if we're working with date. So for time, I wanted to splice this up by just the hour of the day that it occurred. So again, I could go over here to, actually I need to go under time, and I'm going to go to hour, and you can choose start of the hour or end of the hour. I just chose to work with start of the hour, so I'm going to choose start of the hour. Okay, and now that I'm over here, I really don't want this date attached to it anymore. And if you click over here on this left button, I can tell it that I just want to see the time. I don't really want the date and the time, I just want the time. All right, and so now I have manipulated the data the way that I want to for this particular report. And again, realistically, it might not work this way for you, because I actually created the report and played with it for a while, and then I realized how I wanted to manipulate these columns. So it's going to be a little more exploratory for you at first when you start to work with the data set. You might not know exactly which columns you need until you've gone in and played with it a little bit. All right, so now that I've got all this, I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to start by clicking Apply. And it is going to give me an error message because I have some missing values. So I'll just take a look at those. I'm not super worried about them, but I am going to just peek at them, you know, which I would encourage you to do if you are shown that you have errors at this point. So here are the errors. I'm just going to click. And if I scroll over, I see that they did not like that I had some missing values in the initial call type. So I went back to the data set and just looked at it, and I went over to initial call type. And there's some missing values. I think there was a missing value at, yeah, right here at row 50 was one of the ones. I actually didn't use this field in the analysis, so I'm not too worried about it. I focused more on call type, whether it was a 911 call or not. So I could just delete this column, but I think it has some good information in it. So I'm going to leave it in there with the errors and just move on. So I'm going to go to File, Close and Apply. And this brings me to the visualizations editor, and we'll talk more about that in the next video.